And welcome to the live stream. How's it going, everyone? I'm just gonna press a few buttons here. All right. So it's Saturday, the 9th of September. Can't believe it. It's 9th of September already. It's been a beautiful day here in Berlin. The weather's been lovely. What's the weather like where you are? Let me know in the chat. And anyone joining live, let me know that you can hear me and everything's coming through okay. Yeah, seems good my end. I messed up there. It's been a really long day. It's been a nice day, but a long day. How's everyone's day been? I feel like it's one of those days that I'm going to struggle to speak. Running a bit late. Sorry, everyone. If anybody has been waiting, I do apologize, but who am I kidding? No one's waiting for these live streams. Hopefully you just see the notification and you say, "Oh, look, Fabian's live. Let's check him out." Yeah, I usually try and go live for 9 o'clock here in local time. It's Central European time is 9 o'clock. But right now it's coming up to 9:30, so I'm almost half an hour late. Sorry everyone, but I set these times just as a rough estimate, and hopefully I can make it. But life sometimes gets in the way, but it's all good. It's fine. I really want to try and just keep with these live streams because it's just a really nice way to connect with everyone, and see how everyone's doing. That's really the main point of these live streams. If you don't know me, my name's Fabian. I'm Fabian Holland. I'm a guitarist, singer, and songwriter from the UK, but I live in Berlin, in Germany. And we talk about songwriting. We talk about fingerstyle guitar and open tunings and recording acoustic guitar and vocals. A lot to do with being a singer-songwriter and guitarist on this channel. So if that's something you're into, then you're in the right place. I'm playing Loudon 010 Jumbo model 1994. It was built, and cedar top and mahogany back and sides. Hey Scott, how's it going? Good to see you. Welcome. Where are you joining from, Scott? Are you from Scotland? I think you are, right? So it's coming up to 8:30 there, right? Yeah. Not too late. We'll see how long I last today. It's been a bit of an exhausting day, so I might make this a short one. But basically, in today's live stream, I'm kind of just breaking down my fingerpicking style, and I always worry with this. Not worry, but I guess a little bit worried that I'm coming off as arrogant that. Oh, of course, everyone wants to know my finger-picking style, right? Because it's the best, or whatever. In my head, I think I come across as that. But I really believe everyone has their own unique kind of style, and way of playing through just the influences that you've had. And the longer you've been playing, the longer you've kind of developed your own style with anything, with any instrument, but particularly I find with guitar, because it's such a diverse instrument, and there's many different ways you can play it and many different ways you can approach it. And I've approached guitar multiple different ways and played multiple different styles, and I guess that's kind of all accumulated to my approach to guitar and finger picking. So I'm just kind of talk about that, and part of this is everyone else, you out there, your opinions and your influences and your styles as well. So and your input on all of this. So yeah. So Scott says Isle of Hope for Cumbria. Isle of Cumbria. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. On the west of Scotland. Yeah. 8:30. Nice. I haven't been to west of Scotland much. I've been to like Aberdeen and these sort of east areas, but I really haven't been much to Scotland at all. I'd like to get up there because it's a beautiful place. Yeah, it's my wife actually studied in Scotland, even though she's German. She studied in St Andrews. Which I know is very popular now, probably because of not Harry, William, Prince William, right? Studied there, I think. But she studied there before. But anyway, she really enjoys Scotland. And she actually worked when she was studying as a student, she worked in one of these local pubs in St Andrews. And she said she just couldn't understand what people were ordering, I in my head that's really quite funny, this little young German girl studying, coming over, not understanding a word of what the locals want when they order a pint. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So today, I'm basically I'm just going to kind of talk about my influences. A lot of my influences are from kind of folk and blues and classical as well. I started off playing classical guitar when I was 7, and then I kind of developed and I got really into blues, and then I got into electric guitar, and then I started turning into a teenager or a young teenager, and I started getting into grunge and this sort of thing. So electric guitar was definitely a big part of my early years. But then later on, I got back into acoustic, and that's when more kind of steel string and blues and finger picking and kind of this folky style of stuff came in. And a lot of the influences that I have are from a guy called Kelly Joe Phelps, he was a American folk and blues singer-songwriter, and Pierre Bensusan as well. He's a French instrumentalist guitarist, but he sings as well. But most of what he does is he plays instrumental a lot of the time. But he's an amazing guitarist, and he really developed the dadgad and open tuning playing for me and for a lot of players. And on the blues side of things, it's kind of Skip James, Blind Willie Johnson, Mississippi John Hurt, people like this. And on the folky kind of side, it's people like Davy Graham, English folk guitarist, Bert Jansch, Martin Simpson, Richard Thompson, people like this, And on the American side, kind of John Fahey, people like this, Ry Cooder, some slide players and stuff like this. So yeah, this is kind of, a lot of this is my people that have inspired me in the past, Scott says, yeah, most Scots can't understand ourselves anyway. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. So I think the best way I can kind of approach this is basically kind of going through my songs and basically just kind of talking about parts of my songs and talking about the right hand and the left hand techniques and stuff like this. So we'll start with a song called Mad Eric, and a lot of it is basically a lot of what I do, I use this sort of alternate thumb picking stuff. So I'm playing with the thumb, and then a finger, and then another thumb on one of the other strings, and then another finger. And this is very common in a lot of folk stuff, because it also gives a rhythm, you know. And to me, the way I see that is that's a lot of the time I think about a piano, you know, and that's kind of the left hand. That's what the left hand is doing, you know. That's kind of the rhythm and the bass. And I do think in terms of chords, even though I'm not really playing chords as such, but I'm thinking in terms of chords, you know, because I'm in Dadgad and I'm capoed on the 4th here, but I'm basically playing in A minor in my head, you know. This is an A minor, and what would this be? This is like a G. This is an F, and this is an E of some kind, you know. But obviously it's not just a standard one, because I use a lot of open tuning players, you know. I use just the bass line moving here, and I keep the rest kind of the same. I do that a lot. You can hear that. So these kind of strings, notes kind of stay the same, you know. And it might change a little bit there, but pretty much that's kind of the rhythm and the bass. And then that kind of allows me to then add kind of notes on the top if I want to do some improvising and stuff like this, you know. So this is what I like to do a lot, because it allows me to have some rhythm in there. I like having some rhythm, and this kind of repetitive rhythm as well I really like. And all I have to do is then just kind of take these two strings, the top two strings, you know, these kind of notes, you know, I'm looking out for. These are like my melody notes, and I can kind of stick them on top. Let's do a little example of that. Something like this. So that kind of allows me to get a very full and nice sound. So that's what I like to do when I'm basically kind of improvising, or I've got a specific kind of melody over the top. And then when I go into it, usually I just keep this rhythm and keep these chords. Like for this song here, the Mad Eric, it goes, I would just keep it like this, and I would go They call him Matt Eric, he talks to himself with a crutch at his left hand, he walks with its held. He got no money, can't afford nothing else, drinks all day, falls over himself. Searching around these streets he roams, and people's phone and change. It's cold outside, need a home, it's pouring down with rain. Harry don't have no home, no money, no job, nowhere to go, no woman, not sanity, and this ain't funny, cause half of it you don't know. So that's kind of what I would do for a typical one of my songs. And you know, this is a really old song. This is one of the first songs that I wrote for my first album like 10 years ago. You know, so it's definitely changed a lot over the years, but so this is basically kind of one of my styles or techniques that I really like to use. And let me know in the comments below, you know, does anyone else use this sort of alternate thumb picking stuff? I don't do it on every song, just only when I feel like I want that kind of sound, you know. And I feel like I try not to use too many fingers. You can see my right hand there. You know, I am actually using 3 fingers there, but you know, a lot of the time when I'm improvising, I do actually use, just on a side note, I do actually use 4 fingers. I don't really use my little finger. I do use 4 fingers. I use this one for the very top strings, and the middle for the very top. But the thumb and the finger, I use a lot for the bass notes, you know. And talking about alternate thumb picking, you know, a lot of these players do this, especially players like Kelly Joe Phelps, John Fahey. You know, they use this, or used to use this technique a lot, and you'd see this technique a lot, you know. And what was my point with this? I used to use, I don't know if you can see there, that's partly through like strumming, but also through like, that's where my anchor was on my guitar. You can see the indent. You know, I used to have an anchor. I don't do it so much anymore. My little finger used to be like an anchor on my guitar, and you'd see this a lot with players. They do this, but I just felt like it would mean that my hand would have to be very, very close. Was always very close to the strings, which is fine if you're doing this technique, but if you want to venture out of this technique, this alternate thumb picking, you know, having this anchor there all the time, it isn't really that practical. It wasn't for me, at least, you know. So now a lot of my anchor, when I mean by anchor, is like having some kind of connection onto the guitar. So usually now I have my anchors on the strings that I'm not using, you know. So if I was doing this here, my anchor would actually, I got a finger on the strings, you know. And this, I don't really need it as such, but this is more like, it kind of helps to know where you are, because I'm not really looking down at the right hand at all, you know. It just helps to know where my hand is, you know. Of course I can do it without, I can do freehand, but it doesn't always feel good for me, you know. It's more about feeling and being comfortable, and if I know, if I have some kind of connection onto the guitar, other than the fingers that are playing, you know, it just kind of feels comfortable knowing where I am, you know, if that makes sense, knowing where my right hand is. Yeah, Scott says, I've always struggled a bit with the alternate thumb picking. Okay. I'm still very much improving on finger picking stuff as it is. However, always find myself sticking more to an arpeggio. Yeah, arpeggios are great as well, you know. Don't get it wrong. I do arpeggio as well, and a lot of players do this as well. Players like Martin Simpson. I don't know if you know him. He doesn't do. Don't see him doing too much alternate thumb picking stuff. I see more American style kind of players do it, but there's a lot of great things you can do with arpeggio as well. I guess it all of this just kind of depends on what kind of sound you want and what you want out of what sound you want at the end of the day. But yeah, I try and mix it a little bit, just because of if I want this kind of rhythmical sound, then I would use it basically. But I don't see too many players, like instrumental players, using this alternate thumb picking too much. I guess it's more kind of on the folky American side, I guess. But I like to use it. Hey, Steve, how's it going? Steve says, hi Fabian, can you talk about your fingernails, please? I've started reinforcing mine with nail glue and tea bags. Interesting, okay. They work a treat and seem to last way longer than acrylic powder, etc. Nice, yeah. I haven't tried that. But maybe that's a good idea. You know what? Like, I've done so many different stuff with nails. I've done just no nails. I've tried picks. I've tried like glue on. You can get these sort of ready-made kind of glue on nails. I've tried acrylic powder, and at the moment I'm actually not using any reinforcement whatsoever, because I find, but I do use that from time to time. I find if I use reinforcement too much, especially when you start sort of gluing lots of different things on your fingers, on your fingernails, the fingernails get very soft very quickly, and I found that I don't know if it's bad for your fingernails. I don't know, but now and again, I basically give my fingernails a bit of a break and stop gluing stuff onto them. Right now, I'm in one of those breaks. I'll probably start putting stuff on again at some point, because it does give a different sound. Basically the thicker your nails are, it changes the tone, and I quite like thick nails, because it kind of, I like just the sound of that, rather than if my nails are, I guess, naked, you would call them now. I don't like the tone as much. It's okay. But I'm basically, I'm giving my nails a bit of a break right now. But it all depends on what kind of sound you want. These are a bit long actually right now. I got my nail file handy. Always have that handy in case. But I basically have them, I don't know if you can see that. Probably not. I have them at like an angle, which way? This way, curved up like an angle. So that means that when I pluck the string, I can choose to have it, if the string is here, then there's more skin, and the skin kind of gives a warmer sound, a lower sound, and with some nail, it obviously gives a brighter, clearer sound. So I like to kind of choose what the sound I want to be, depending on the angle where I'm picking. You know, does that make sense? So that's what I quite like to do. I don't like to just have completely really long nails and just use the nails. So I like to have this sort of, I don't know if you can see it, angle on my nails. It's not really that much. They're a bit longer than I would usually have, but especially in this one you can see, you know. So I can, if I pluck the string at the end here, it would be a lot. Yeah, it's not too much because here's more nail, you know. Here's more skin. I would usually have them a bit shorter, so it would be a bit more of a difference there. But I hope that makes sense. But what I use now, I'm not going to grab it. It's over there. I use this company that has this. They create special like nail plastic to glue over your nails, but you don't glue it over the whole of your nail, just at the very end. It takes a little while to do, but once you know how to do it, you can do it pretty quick. And then they have this sort of silk stuff that you glue over the top, and this is what really makes it harder and hardens it. And then with glue, so you can put the silk on and then glue and then just kind of file it down, and that's what I use a lot. But right now I'm just kind of giving my nails a bit of a break. I usually give them a break for, like, I don't know, depends, 3-6 months, and then I'll start using other things again. Yeah. Steve says, I'd love to be able to use just nails, but mine are too weak. I only glue on half of nail. Yeah, good idea to glue on just the half of the nail, not cover the whole nail. Yes, you use skin nail to get your tone. Yeah, I think it's probably quite common, I'm not sure, but I got that from my old teacher, Eric Roach. Back in the day, he did that. I got that from him. But yeah, I think it's probably something that people do a lot these days, to kind of use skin and nail at the same time. The tea bag is the alternative to silk. That's a good idea. I didn't think about that, but yeah, that totally makes sense. Okay, so I'm guessing you don't use like a used tea bag, huh? Do you use it first and then take it out and dry it? I don't know. Or do you just cut it? It seems a waste of tea. Do you cut it and then save the tea inside or something? I don't know. Yeah, that's a good idea, because the silk can be quite expensive. Okay, so you use the tea bag, and then just nail glue and tea bag. That's it. You don't use any other plastic or anything like that. That's a good idea. I might try that actually myself, because that silk, it's also, I have to import it from America as well. I haven't bought any for a while. I usually buy it in bulk, but yeah, it's not cheap, this silk stuff. Oh, you sacrificed the tea bag. No. Yeah, I guess a used tea bag wouldn't be so good. I wonder if there's a way you could just cut it, because it's just the bag, right? You don't need the tea. You could cut it and then save the tea, you know, in a jar, and then you could reuse the tea some way. You know, you can get these like tea filters or whatever. I don't know, just an idea. But that's a good idea. I'm going to try that actually. I'm going to try that. Tea bags. I'll let you know how I get on with that. Okay, so moving on. Yeah, I talked about my right hand alternate thumb picking technique. Doing this kind of thing. This is one of my techniques that I like to use. And I'll move on to another song, you know, because it's a lot easier for me to use the description of a song I'm in Dadgad here. If you want to know my setup here, I'm just using this ribbon mic for vocals, completely dry, just going straight into the mixer here, nothing going through it. And then I'm using the my pickup as well, so the microphone's picking up kind of a lot of the guitar and vocals, and then you can hear like, ooh, there's reverb on the pickup system, so that's just kind of giving the guitar a bit of extra signal to it. So this next one's called Another Monday, and it's on my latest album, but it's very different to the last one, and I'm just basically kind of using an arpeggio style. This is the kind of the style that I'm using here. Yeah, Scott says, Tetley, PG Tips, Yorkshire. Does the type of tea matter to the technique? Steve says, nail glue, not super glue. Yeah, Waitrose Essential Tea Bag. Nice. Yeah, that's a really good tip. I'm gonna try that. Yeah, definitely use nail glue. I think it's very different to super glue. Super glue would really kind of damage things. I don't know what the difference is between nail glue and super glue, but there is definitely a difference. I think you can find nail glue online, and you can even go to these various sort of shops that do kind of nails and stuff like that. You can buy them from, I think, but probably best online. It's fairly cheap, I think. Yeah, so this one. It's very different to the last one I used. It's more kind of arpeggio, and just kind of using that kind of using these open strings, you know. Of course, I like to use these open strings when we're in an open tuning, and I'm in D minor here. And the trick with this one is just to kind of let things ring as much as possible, which I find is easier said than done. You know, it's not too many notes, but if you don't let one of the notes ring, if you miss hit one of the notes, it's very obvious. You know. So that's kind of the technique I'd use with this one. I'll just sing a little bit of that so you get a kind of a feel of it a little bit. Here we go. It was a long winter's day, and the sun came my way. Couldn't believe, and like millions before, we're just in awe, his mum and me. One thing I like to do is on most of my songs is I like to play the singing melody, and especially on the chorus, but oftentimes just throughout the whole song, you know. I'll just do an example of this one here. All the weather is bad and the traffic's the same. To anybody else, it's just another Monday. And all the people are mad and the trains are delayed. To anybody else, it's just another Monday. So I don't necessarily sing the whole melody. But kind of the main points. But that's something that I do that I do a lot. So yeah, it just basically kind of depends on the song. With this one, I definitely wanted a more kind of free, not as rhythmical as the last one, more open sounding, you know. And there I'm just going through two different chords, D minor and A minor. And just kind of adding these open and fretted strings between them. And that one there, when I go up, that's basically I'm playing it A again, and then just hitting a little harmonic up there on the second string. But that's just another sort of technique that I like to use, but it just all depends on what kind of sound you know, I'm after. Yeah, so I'll kind of move on, and I'll move on to the last song I want to talk about. I don't know if I'll go on too long now, because it's 10 o'clock now here. I did start a bit later, but yeah, this one here. But if there's any other sort of topics or any other questions that anyone has, then please feel free to drop down in the chat below. You know, I'm happy to answer any questions. This one I want to talk about. It's called Like Father Like Son. It was on my first album again. And it's capoed up quite high here. 6th fret. And it's in G. Or in my head it's in G. And this one is it's not too rhythmical, but it's definitely more rhythmical than the last one. But it's definitely in terms of playing the notes that I'm singing, this is always playing the notes that I'm singing the whole time, and that's kind of what the whole song is about, and then changing the bass line. So I'll just play it and you'll get a feel for it. So a lot of this, I'm using a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs. Just there. This. Another pull-off there. Another hammer-on, you know. With a lot of open tunings, it's very easy and it's very nice to put a lot of these hammer-ons and pull-offs, because it gives a certain sound, you know. A hammer-on and a pull-off, you can tell it's different. It sounds different, you know. It's a different dynamic. Yeah, does anybody else use hammer-ons and pull-offs and this in combination with open strings? I feel like it's something that you kind of got to do if you're using a lot of open tunings. You can definitely overdo it though. Don't overdo it with the hammer-ons and pull-offs. Yeah. So this is very, I'd say, very typical for me, this song, using this way of, I use very simple bass lines. A lot of the time I'm just playing two notes at the same time, and then just adding some filler notes, I would call them. They're basically kind of open strings, just to kind of keep it moving along, keep the rhythm, keep the fillers in there, you know. You know, these are the main melody. That's a filler. So it's basically just, yeah, I got two things going on. It's the bass line, you know, and the melody. You know, just kind of combining those two together. Scott says, haven't really experimented with any alternate tunings, though you are making me want to go and set up one of my guitars in DADGAD and looking for some sort of DADGAD for Dummies video. Yeah, there's lots out there on DADGAD, you know. But it's definitely, it can be very overwhelming when you're just starting with DADGAD. It's a great tuning to start with for sure, because it's a modal tuning, you know, which means it's not major or minor, because it's got a fourth in there, you know. So it's a really good one for doing minor and major keys, you know. And you'd start with basically your D, your open, you know, in the key of D, say D minor, and just experiment around, you know. The main thing with open tunings, I find, is just to have fun, and it's freeing not knowing what you're playing, you know, not knowing any shapes, not knowing any notes, not knowing the fretboard, you know. It's kind of freeing, and you kind of go back to being a kid in a way, you know, and not knowing anything and just playing guitar and messing around and having fun, you know, seeing if you can get some interesting sounds, you know. That's so in a way we ruin ourselves by learning, by knowing what to play and what not to play, you know. We lose the experimentation a little bit, I find. So it's nice to get that back in open tunings, you know. But yeah, I'd say just go for it. Just put one of your guitars in DADGAD and just mess around and seeing, you know, if it doesn't sound good, sounds a bit jazzy, you know, but just play whatever feels right, sounds right to you, you know. But I would recommend, you know, if you're trying to play kind of folky kind of stuff, which I think you are, stick to, like, you know, these kind of notes, fifths, basically the kind of the minor scale. Try and play that, you know. Try and just find like certain notes, like the thirds and fifths, you know, these kind of things. But don't worry if you don't know what they are. Just mess around and have fun, you know. For sure, it's a great tuning to start with. Absolutely. Yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to kind of cover in this live stream, to be honest. And I'm a little knackered, so I might end it soon. I need to go to sleep soon. But I'll sing this song just for you. And if anybody has any questions, then just drop it in the chat below about anything. The music starts, had too much to drink. One Christmas evening and the family's all here. From my seat, stand up to my feet, attempt to move my legs and hips to the beat. like father, like son. Oh, my chances are none. Like a father, like son. Oh, my time has come. Yeah. One of the live streams we were talking about kind of, I think, performing live and messing up and forgetting lyrics, and then I don't know if anybody noticed, I just completely forgot the lyrics to that song, just started singing random words. So it happens to all of us. I am particularly quite knackered this evening, so that's probably why. But also, I should also practice my songs more. That's one thing I need to do. I don't know if anybody else has this problem, but if I don't perform live very often, which I haven't in a while, I don't get to play my songs as much and forget the lyrics. But anyway, Scott says, hold on. Oh, there's some comments. Hold on. Steve says, your style is very dynamic and I've been inspired to pay more attention to my own dynamics when playing. Thanks. Yeah, I love using dynamics. I use a lot of tunings. You said in one of your videos about not getting restricted using them. Yeah, was that one of the YouTube videos? I used a lot of tunings. There was a point, when I was playing live. I hope to be playing live again soon. When I was playing live more, I had like loads of different guitars on stage, and I was using many different tunings. And I didn't really know many of them very well. This is something that can happen, is just you find yourself playing the same stuff if you don't know the tuning too well. So I decided to I need to learn Dadgad a bit more and kind of make that my standard tuning, if you will. I still don't know it to the extent of like Pierre Bensoussen's. He's on a whole nother level of knowing Dadgad, but I definitely understand it a lot more, that I can play in many different keys and this sort of thing. That's kind of the thing, is just being able to play in lots of different keys in open tunings as well. It is really good, and that kind of opens things up as well, and makes it not all sound too influenced by that tuning, because every open tuning has this underlining sound with it. It's very obvious when you hear Dadgad that that's Dadgad. If you know it, if you hear it very often, it's very obvious, and that influences everything that you play. So you try not to let it influence too much. That's basically why it's used on most of my songs. But yeah, dynamics is super important to me. It's something that is definitely often overlooked. I find dynamics comes first above most things for me, in a performance. Cool. But glad I inspired you, Steve. Thank you. And Scott says, appreciate you sharing your knowledge, experience, and superb music as always, Fabian. Thank you. Thanks so much, Scott. Appreciate that. Really do appreciate that. Very good advice, Steve says. So easy to get trapped using the same chord shapes and sounds if you're not careful. Yeah, absolutely. Steve also says, love your song, Fabian. Thank you for your time and sharing your skills. Thank you again, Steve. Appreciate that. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. Sorry if I was. Hope I made some sense tonight. I feel like I'm completely exhausted and just kind of not making sense, but I think I made sense. We'll see when I play back the live stream tomorrow. Anyway, have a lovely Saturday evening. Have a great weekend, everyone, and I will see you all again next Saturday. Thanks so much. Speak soon.